Welcome to TBL Scope. I'm Kyle Koster. I'm here with Liam McCune. A special guest appearance. Welcome to the Scope, man.
Audacious of me to appear twice in as many weeks, but when it comes to Cam Newton and the Patriots, I got to show up.
Yeah, I mean, this was an absolute no-brainer when it came to who was going to discuss this. As the resident Patriots fan, we need to talk about Bill Belichick surveying the NFL landscape and picking up the best available quarterback on the market for a bargain, basically setting up a situation where it's a lot of people are saying low risk, high reward. It's more like no risk, high reward. There's very little to lose here, except maybe you send the message to Jared Stidham that he's not the anointed future quarterback of the franchise, which I think deep down he already knew that. So, Ted, why don't we go personal with this and talk me through how you processed the news when you found out that the Patriots, instead of taking a gap year to compete next year, decide, oh, we'll just go ahead and we'll bring in a former MVP and try to make a Super Bowl run right now. How did that strike you?
Yeah, I started to laugh when I first saw the news because it's just so hilarious that once again the Patriots get away with this an inexplicable thing. Cam Newton is insanely talented. He's just been sitting around. Of course, he ends up with the Patriots, and so it's just everything about it is Patriots to a T. Like you said, no risk, high reward. Absolute worst case scenario here is that he doesn't play like an MVP, but he plays probably better than the fourth round pick who has exactly 1 year of NFL experience, entered into one game and threw a pick six. So that's the worst case. And even then, we cut him before the season starts. If that's your other worst case scenario, and then it's no money out of our pockets and we just roll through with Stidham. So I think it's a lot more exciting. I think that while the whole Stidham thing was going to be fun to watch, each game was going to be sort of watched with the long term in mind. And now it's sort of back to what it's been the last couple of years, where each game it's live or die with every snap and that sort of thing. So from a viewer's perspective, it's going to be way more entertaining to watch, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. That's really what I'm looking forward to the most, because as enjoyable as it would have been to see Stidham kind of slowly make his way into NFL stardom. Of course, he's going to be a star, strong arm Stidham. The Patriots offense wasn't going to be that fun to watch. It was going to be a lot of runs. It was going to be a lot of like bootleg, easy play action kind of stuff. But with Newton, Josh McDaniel's mind is open to the possibilities. And it's just going to be a lot more entertaining to watch, at least from that perspective.
Yeah, the most interesting thing is we sit here after months and months of having internal discussions and discussions on the site about, hey, Cam Newton is a fantastic quarterback. Why is nobody signing him? Waiting and waiting. And I thought it was so interesting. Like, a lot of people have pointed to his health problems and his issues, which are not insignificant. Don't get me wrong, but they'll say that he lost his last 8 starts. But you look at 2018, right? Mm-hmm. He completed almost 68% of his passes, which was a career high. He threw for 24 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. He was not running the ball as effectively. It had a career low as yards per carry on the ground, so he wasn't using his legs as much. And then the situation last year where he was just never healthy, it was such a small sample size. Everybody decided like, this guy's done. I don't think I've ever seen someone be so subjected to like being written off for considering what he's done in the past over such a small sample size. And for an injury that's not career threatening too. Like, this isn't like, oh, he's done. It's more just like he's going to be less effective. I think Cam Newton rose to prominence as a great runner, but he's good at throwing on the run. I still think that he's going to be able to get outside the hash marks and make throws. And like, his arm strength is still there. So I've just been shocked to see like everybody sell their Cam Newton stock, and then for the Patriots to buy it at such a low price. And probably see it go up. How much do you think Cam still has left in the tank?
Well, I mean, he's only 30, right? So I don't know how much, like you said, his arm strength is definitely still there. I don't know he definitely has been banged up over the last couple of years, but it's sort of tough to label him fragile when he plays the way that he does. So honestly, I think he still has another, if obviously injury comes with a certain amount of luck. So if he gets lucky to an extent and he kind of start like whatever team he plays for, whether it's the Patriots or whoever he signs with next year, kind of limits the designed QB runs, I think he still has another 4 or 5 good years left in him, just because his arm is, it's a cannon. And like you said, 2018, the last time he was more or less relatively healthy before this season, he completed 68% of his passes. He's not the Cam Newton of like pre-MVP 2015 years where he has an absolute cannon, but he can't hit a guy on a short slant. He's kind of managed to balance it really well. And if he can kind of meld that with a scrambling QB ability instead of a running QB ability, as fine as that difference is, I think he still has a couple good years left in the tank. But like you said, or like I was saying, with the luck aspect, I mean, the guy could take every precaution in the world and only run once or twice a game and still end up, messing up his foot again or messing up his shoulder again. So I think he's definitely not done. I think if all goes well for him this year, he boosts his stock, he could sign a really fat contract next year and play well at a high level, top 10 QB level until he's 33 or 34.
So we both seem pretty optimistic about this. So let's approach it from the worst case scenario. I think the fact that he was available for this long at least has to raise the question about his health. It seems like some other team would have taken a flyer on him. I know that not that many had starting jobs to offer, at least to compete for. So I think that's part of the reason. But I think that he just sat there for so long that it's like, okay, well, what is the real deal here? And then also the other big concern would be about Cam Newton, about his personality, which I think is overblown. But he has a big personality. He's cocky. He's self-assured, as he should be as a former MVP. And then you talk about bringing that to New England, where it's the nails get hammered down into the Patriot way. What are your concerns about him entering a new situation, a unique one with the Patriots, and then also trying to step and fill the shoes of the impossible shoes to fill of Tom Brady? Is there any trepidation there?
I think from a playing perspective, the trepidation comes if the injuries that he suffered are more degenerative than they are sort of one-time things. If he steps on, I have every faith in Bill Belichick and all the Patriots to, put the best product on the field, give them the best chance to win, blah, blah, blah. But if he gets on there and he's kind of like at 50% of the Cam Newton that we remember, and then we stick with him instead of seeing what we have in Stidham and only end up winning like 9 games, 8 games, something like that, then it ends up being more of a washed year than it is any really beneficial for anything else, especially considering the Patriots roster is generally older, so each year is mattering for us. And so far as stepping into the shoes of Tom Brady, it's going to be really strange because Bill Belichick has brought in guys like this before, guys who the rest of the league perceives as like self-centered or what have you. And sometimes they work out. Corey Dillon, Randy Moss, Darrelle Revis. These guys are mercenaries. They come in for a couple of years and then they're out and they play great. But none of them replaced somebody the stature of Tom Brady in the organization. And so as far as the reception goes, I mean, I'm going to feel a little weird about it just because, like I was saying before, with the Stidham thing, it was like kind of like a project where you're like, okay, is he going to be a long-term thing? With Cam, he's definitely a one-year deal, almost no matter what. I can't imagine any scenario where he sticks around New England longer than this. So I'm going to root for him. It's going to be fun, but it's also kind of tough to, I don't know, it's just going to be weird to have him be the guy when he's not going to be here for that long. However, I will say this much. Boston media is going to be hilarious to watch. The amount of fodder that they're going to get from Newton's social media presence and his post-game outfits. I mean, Felger and Maz on 98.5, they're going to be something else on game day. So at least from that perspective, it's going to be really enjoyable. From the fan perspective, it's going to be strange. It's definitely going to be strange.
Yeah, a couple of things to point out here. Cam Newton probably still more normal than Tom Brady. It's just that Tom Brady's brand of weirdness and eccentricness is more corporate approved. I mean, when you really think of like text font is a little different than being, like afraid to your core of eating a strawberry. Second of all, I want to note that Liam is using a rhetorical and verbal tick here where he keeps saying we and our when it refers to the Patriots. That's he can't help it. That's regional. We tried to drum that out of him. It's impossible. So we're just not even going to try. I want to focus on Belichick here because it's so funny to me that this seemed like such an obvious move for someone to try. And after it comes out last night that Newton is going to the Patriots, immediately we're circling the wagons to talk about the big brain genius that is Belichick, or the picture of him shirtless on the boat, or with the goggles at the draft. And it's like it's like, it's so obvious. Like when a normal person wants to point out, hey, Cam Newton would be a pretty good person to bring in for a football team. It's like, all the other franchises aren't going to do it. Belichick kind of says the obvious, like, okay, well, we'll do it. And everybody's like, wow, look at the big brain on Bill. So I guess my question to you is, it might be sacrilegious, but do you think there's some like, like Belichick myth making and legend that ascribe him this magical power when really he just kind of can look at some obvious stuff? I don't know. Is he getting too much credit for a move that was obvious on the surface?
Oh, absolutely. I don't care. It may be sacrilegious, but he definitely is. I mean, the theories I saw floating around on Twitter is that he could have done it any time in the last 2 months, but he was sitting on it specifically to wait until the news that the Patriots were getting docked a third-round pick for their filming violations came out. So then he signed him so that nobody would care. That's not the case. Of course it's not. Bill Belichick, what happened here is the Patriots got lucky for whatever reason, or, maybe they didn't. We'll see. But for whatever reason, nobody wanted Cam Newton, former NFL MVP. And kind of part of what makes Bill Belichick great is that he sees and he's like, oh, that's good. I'm going to do that. And sometimes it's just so simple like this that there's nothing more to it. It's not Bill Belichick, spreading disinformation around the league about Cam Newton's medical status so that he can side with the Patriots. Nothing like that. Bill Belichick sees somebody who can help his team win for whatever reason, nobody else wants him, and he brings him on. We can't give him too much credit. I mean, it's just kind of the stars aligned in a certain manner, and then he just kind of stepped in and took advantage of it, as he has many times over the last 20-odd years.
Yeah, and then just to put a stamp on this, I mean, if the experiment fails, it'll probably be failed through the lens of Newton just did not perform, and he will get blamed, and it won't ever fall back on the Patriots for making the wrong decision. So I guess that's what building up 2 decades worth of equity is like one of the greatest coaches in all of sports gets you. For Liam, I am Kyle. Thanks for watching The Big Lead.
Thank you.